A pleasant day to everyone. We are Group 3 and we'll be presenting to you the Laboratory 2 and 3, which is entitled The Microorganisms in Their Living State and Simple Staining. So this laboratory report encompasses the analysis of the cheek cell, the seminal fluid analysis, the probiotic sample, the vaginal yeast discharge, and the blood cell analysis. So we will now proceed with the smear of cheek cell, the cheek cell analysis. So what is oxidative phosphorylation? It is a process that happens inside the mitochondria to generate ATP. Next is, how is enzyme activity affected by the pH level and by the temperature? Enzymes have proteins when they reach beyond the optimum level. It leads to the denaturation and therefore inactivates the functionality of the protein. Next is, there are many human diseases that result from the absence of particular human enzymes or from enzymes that do not function properly. The question is, how could it affect or defect in enzymes causes diseases? So the defect in enzymes lead to improper functions of biochemical reactions in the human body, leading to the accumulation of toxic substances and the dysregulation of metabolic pathways. So for the cheek cell analysis, it is in the high power resolution or the 400 times magnification. So for Miss Bellara, the color is white to grayish and its morphology includes the cheek cell showed a flat and irregular structure like pancakes, notably of a relatively large size. The nuclei was not evident, while the presence of cytoplasm was observable. Next is with Miss Cañete. The magnification is still on for 100 times high power and the color is greenish to bluish. The morphology of it is the cheek cell is flat with a polygonal shape. The cell membrane and cytoplasm is visible. However, the nucleus or the nuclei and the component of the cheek cells are not visible. Next is with Miss Canosa. The cheek cells are flat with an irregular shape. The nucleus, cytoplasm, and cell membrane were not visible. Next is with Mr. Castro. Without the methylene blue stain, the cheek cell appears to be greenish and grayish in color. So for its morphology, the cheek cell appears flat and has an irregular shape. However, the nucleus and other cell organelles are not visible. So with Miss Rinya, still in the high power magnification for 100 times, the color is whitish to grayish. The morphology of it is the cheek cell appears to be flat, irregular in shape, and also the edges which are the cytoplasmic rim are visible. Next is with Mr. Tapire. The color of it is grayish with streaks or specks of green. The morphology of it is the structure of the cheek cell is made out of a type of tissue called the squamous epithelial cell. It is flat, irregular in shape, and cytoplasmic rim is visible around the edges. However, the nucleus is not visible. And with Mr. Valencia, magnification is still on the high power and 400 times magnification. The color of it is grayish to dark bluish. The cheek cell usually forms an irregular shape depending on the epithelial cell. Although the cheek cell is evident, its prominent parts such as the nucleus, cytoplasm, and plasma membrane are observed at the lower part of the specimen image. We will now proceed with the seminal fluid analysis. So for the first question, what is nosocomial infection? How prevalent are nosocomial infections in Philippine hospitals? It is a healthcare-associated or hospital-acquired infection and carries significant risks, including sepsis and death. These infections can be avoided by washing hands and asepsis techniques. Next question is, what are the duties of infection control officers as a nurse epidemiologist? So the infection control officers are responsible for implementing infection prevention and control measures within the healthcare settings. The nurse epidemiologists are involved in collecting and assessing infectious disease data, investigating outbreaks, and educating on epidemiological concepts and infection control practices. And lastly, what are the special measures needed to be taken to prevent the spread of AIDS from hospitalized AIDS patients? So to prevent the spread of AIDS from hospitalized patients, healthcare staff strictly adhere to infection control procedures. So this includes wearing the personal protective equipment or the PPE, and follow strict protocols for disposing of medical waste and contaminated sharp objects, and properly cleaning and the disinfection of equipment on the various surface that has been working off. So for the seminal fluid analysis, we have Mr. Castro. The magnification is still in high power, 400 times magnification. The pH color of his seminal fluid is whitish to grayish. The pH level is 7.2, which is in normal pH level. So for its morphology, the sperm cells appear in a minute size with head and tail segments that are distinguishable. However, amidst them, an irregular sperm is also present, a cluster of 3 cells, almost oval shaped and noticeably larger in size than surrounding sperm cells observed under the microscope. Next is for Mr. Tapire, still in the high power and 400 times magnification. It is in whitish to grayish color. The pH level is 7.9, which is still in the normal range. So for its morphology, the semen appears to be whitish to grayish. It indicates that it is slightly basic or alkalinic, and static or free-flowing, indicating the sperm has lost its motility or function. Under the microscope, its size and symmetry appears to be long and string, not able to distinguish the head and the tail due to the visibility of the microscope. And lastly, for Mr. Valencia, the pH color of this sperm or the seminal fluid is whitish to grayish. The pH level is 7.4, and it appears that the sperm cells are clustered, and its prominent parts such as the head and tail appear to be normal. There are no signs of any deformities and abnormalities. It is also whitish to cloudy, grayish in color, indicating that there is no infection or any presence of pathogens that may cause diseases.
Now, the vaginal yeast discharge test. In this test, we will be measuring the pH of your vaginal discharge, which is usually the first test performed to diagnose or rule out a yeast infection. Now, let's answer the guide questions. First, what is invasive candidiasis? Invasive candidiasis is a severe fungal infection caused by Candida species, notably Candida albicans, entering the bloodstream causing widespread infection. It often affects people with weakened immune systems like chemotherapy patients, organ transplant recipients, or those with HIV/AIDS. Symptoms include fever, chills, and organ dysfunction, with treatment typically involving antifungal drugs. Second, how are vaginal mucosa and vaginal epithelium related? The vaginal epithelium covers the outer layer of the cells on the vaginal wall, while the vaginal mucosa includes both of the epithelium and the supportive connective tissue beneath it. Serving as a protective barrier against infections and external factors, the vaginal epithelium is essential within the vaginal mucosa. Its layered structure adapts to hormonal changes during menstrual cycles and a woman's lifespan. Next question, how important is the vaginal pH balance? Maintaining a healthy vaginal pH balance, typically between 3.8 and 4.5, is crucial for the vaginal health. This acidity prevents excessive growth of harmful bacteria and fungi, reducing the risk of infections like yeast infections and bacterial vaginosis. Factors such as menstruation, sexual activity, belching, and medications can affect vaginal pH levels. It is important to monitor and uphold a healthy balance through practices like using gentle soaps, taking probiotics, and maintaining proper hygiene. Next, differentiate comprehensively into endometrial polyps and polycystic ovarian disease. Endometrial polyps are benign growths in the uterus lining causing symptoms like abnormal bleeding or pelvic pain. Diagnosis involves imaging or biopsy, and treatment often includes removal to hysteroscopy. Polycystic ovarian syndrome or PCOS is a hormonal disorder marked by enlarged ovaries with small cysts, irregular periods, excess hair growth, weight gain, and infertility. Diagnosis includes symptom assessment, physical exams, hormone testing, and pelvic ultrasound. Treatment focuses on symptom management through lifestyle changes, medication, and fertility treatments. Last big question, why hormonal imbalances occur during pregnancy and menstruation cycle? Fluctuations in hormones during pregnancy are essential for fetal development. HCG or human chorionic gonadotropin sustains the corpus luteum which produces progesterone, maintaining the uterine lining and preventing menstruation. Increasing estrogen level affects multiple body systems, while in menstrual cycle, hormones such as follicle-stimulating hormone or FHS and luteinizing hormone LH from the pituitary gland under the influence of female hormones like estrogen and progesterone regulate ovulation, follicle maturation on the feminine lining. In here we could see LCS or Lactobacillus casei rota, a rod-shaped gram-positive bacteria typically 1 to 2 micrometer long and 0.4 to 0.8 micrometer wide. It is generally motile and thrives in vaporable conditions. LCS, observed in a minute size, helps protect the digestive system by proliferating and combating harmful bacteria. In the probiotic sample testing, we use recruiters or sample to be used with the staining and mass staining probiotic test. In this activity, we have observed two types of bacteria, which are Lactobacillus bulgaricus, rod-shaped bacteria, and Streptococcus thermophilus, spherical-shaped bacteria. Now for the guide questions. First, how are bacteria identified? Bacteria can be identified through its morphology, biochemical test, serological test, genetic analysis, and culture characteristics. In addition, through microscopy, use of SEM or TEM, staining techniques to observe its morphology and characteristics. Next, what can you learn by observing live bacteria, for example, in hanging graph preparation that cannot be learned from fixed and stained cells? In live bacteria, observed through hanging graph preparation, enable direct examination of motility, shape changes, and interactions, offering insights into dynamic cellular behavior, particularly useful for studying live cultures. Conversely, fixed and stained cells enhance contrast and visibility under the microscope, preserving cellular structures for detailed examination commonly employed in clinical diagnostics. Third, what features are considered in identifying species of a bacterium? Various methods aid in identifying bacterial species and stains. This includes assessing cellular morphology, shape, size, and arrangement, gram staining to distinguish between gram-negative infrared and gram-positive blue or purple, bacteria based on cell wall composition, biochemical characteristics such as reaction in selective or differential media, and enzyme presence, and genotypic analysis targeting genomes or genes for sequencing. In what situations might the presence of flagella contribute to the ability of bacterial cells to cause disease in humans? Flagella are like tiny tails that help bacteria move around and reach places in the body. When bacteria have flagella, they can swim to sites in the body where they can cause infections and make people sick, like digestive or urinary tract. So having flagella make it easier for bacteria to cause infections. Lastly, fever and shock are symptoms of bloodstream infections like bacteremia, caused by a wide variety of gram-negative bacteria, including Escherichia coli, Klebsiella pneumoniae, and Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Can you suggest an explanation for this observation? Bacteria like E. coli and Klebsiella pneumoniae release harmful substances or toxins which can cause illness to humans. These substances can cause the body to react strongly, leading to symptoms like fever and shock. So when these bacteria get into the bloodstream, they trigger the body's defense system, causing these symptoms. In here, as we can see on this result, the vaginal discharge tested from our group ranged from 3.8 to 4.1 pH level, indicating it is normal. They were characterized with clear to whitish milky white color. We can also see smooth, sticky to gooey consistencies with no presence of yeast, indicating a healthy vaginal environment.
Now we will proceed to the last part of the presentation, which is the blood cell. Now let's discuss the first question. What is blood culture? So blood culture is a test that is used to identify bacteria, germs, or fungi in the blood, helping diagnose infection like bacteremia by taking a small sample of blood and putting it in a special dish to determine if the pathogen will grow. Second, what is the function or purpose of leukocyte when blood parasite enter the body? So leukocytes are crucial in defending the body against infection brought by the blood parasite to prevent them from spreading. Now, what is the importance of oxygen in our blood circulation? So, we all know that oxygen is necessary for the process of cellular respiration, in which cells use oxygen metabolism to create energy. So for the fourth question, how are bilirubin and hemicatabolism related? So heme is broken down during hemicatabolism and then release follow during hemic conversion. Now biliverdin and bilirubin are produced and processed in the liver and expelled as bile. So this process is important as this remove or recycle iron and remove waste. And lastly, is differentiate neutropenia, anemia, and polycythemia vera. So, anemia is caused by a lack of red blood cell, while polycythemia vera is excess of red blood cell, and neutrophil is caused by a low count of neutrophils. Now, we will now proceed in showing our blood sample.
We can see in Athena Bellara's blood sample that is it reddish color and clumped together. So her red blood cell appeared reddish, indicating a presence of healthy amount of hemoglobin with the normal oxygen carrying capacity. It also appeared in Rolex formation, a clustered stacking with a coin-like fashion due to dehydration or also due to indicating effects of hyperthyroidism. Next is, as per the blood sample of Monica Cañete, it is in the reddish color and clustered. So the red blood cell look uniform and reddish vibrant, which indicate rich in iron or high concentration of hemoglobin. So it also has a simple space which allows for more room for hemoglobin and other essential enzyme and protein. Move forward, we have Klein Canosa's blood sample. As we can see in her blood sample, it is small circulation or small circular in shape with reddish hue. So, her blood looks like a sea of round dot which carrying oxygen throughout the body. They are also packed closely together, giving a red color. So the red cell also form in Rollo's distribution, which can be caused by the dehydration. Next is for Vincent Castro's blood sample. So, as we can see, in his blood sample, it is bright reddish color, circular in shape, and clustered. So, in his red blood cell, it appeared uniform with bright reddish color, indicating a good supply of oxygen in the blood. So, this adequate supply of oxygen can be resolved from normal level of hemoglobin in blood. Moving forward, we have Teyarina's blood sample. So, as we can see, her blood sample, it is pinkish to reddish color with circular shape. So, her blood distribution is normal, which can be seen from pinkish to reddish color of the blood. It also has some clumps of RBC or the red blood cell that resembles stack plate. Next is for John Rich Tapires blood sample. So as we can see in his blood sample, it is clustered circular, pinkish to reddish color and static. So His blood sample has a close color of pinkish to reddish, indicating a normal distribution of RBC in the blood and Rolo's formation, where the cell starts to stock up due to several factors like concentration of plasma, proteins, inflammation, certain medication, or either dehydration. And lastly, as we can see in Kevin's Valencia's blood sample, we can see that it is circular, bright red in color, clustered, well distributed, and dense. So, in his RBC, the hemoglobin in the form of RBC or red blood cell indicates a normal state when there is a presence of bright pinkish to reddish pigmentation, which shows that it is well oxygenated and no agglutination. So in terms of its structure, it is in a biconcave disc shape or spherical, which allows the transport of oxygen, nutrients, protein, and even the carbon dioxide in the body.